Hello there, folks. My name is Spoonks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 is Stillwater, which made $2.8 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $9 million, and there are still no worldwide totals that I am aware of at the moment. So the film in its second weekend did a lot better than I thought it was going to do. It held 45% and actually stayed in not only in the top 5 but in the exact same spot where it was last week, which definitely surprised me. And what surprised me even more is that this movie has been in the top 5 box office charts longer than The Green Knight, which is definitely surprising. But still, seeing as this movie his numbers are low despite strong holds, I'm not really sure if it's going to get to the $25 million budget that the movie costs to make. Like I said last week, it just doesn't seem like it's going to get there, especially right now. But as far as holds go, this surpassed the lowest of expectations that I had, so at least there's that. Number 4 is Black Widow, which made $3.9 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $174 million and a worldwide total of $350 million. So this now puts the movie at $50 million away from $400 million worldwide, and I still think it has a chance. It still hasn't opened in the other markets where it has planned to, like China, so that could benefit it as well. And this also puts it just a couple million away from Captain America: The First Avengers domestic total, which I guarantee this movie will surpass in maybe a couple of days or so, and I think it has a shot at getting close to Ant-Man's domestic total, but it probably won't surpass it. And once again, with each and every week, it continues to have stronger holds than the last, which is definitely very impressive and admirable. But given how low the numbers are for the movie right now, I think the film might be on its way out. And for that, I can say it did the best it could. Like, when you compare it to the grand scheme of things and other movies, this is a worthy achievement for sure. 174 million domestic, 350 million worldwide. That's incredible for a movie right now, and having the highest opening weekend post-pandemic so far is amazing. But it did start to slow down, and it could have done a lot better than it did. It's probably not gonna even top Godzilla vs. Kong worldwide, which is kind of unfortunate. Maybe had it not been released on Disney Plus for $30, it proved where it is lacking right now. It probably could have been on par with something like F9, the Fast Saga from earlier this summer, which suffered from a huge drop in its second weekend, but was still able to become a huge blockbuster. So while I won't say it's a flop because it still has to open in other markets, and I'm sure the Disney Plus numbers help the movie out somehow, and if it wasn't obvious enough, we are still in a pandemic. And once again, compared to everything else, this is more than a lot of people could have asked for. It's the highest grossing movie of the year so far, and $350 million is pretty good for a film right now. But compared to the rest of the cinematic universe and how anticipated and how high expectations were for this movie to do, it kind of sort of soured down a bit. It's somewhere in the middle is where I'm at. It didn't do horribly, but once again, it could have done a lot better. Number 3 is Old, which made $4.1 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $38 million and a worldwide total of $64 million. So this weekend's hold is much stronger than last week's drop-off, and it has already surpassed 50 million globally, which is insane. And I think that if it manages to keep maintaining strong holds week per week, I think it has a chance of getting to 50 million stateside as well. I also think that it's for sure going to surpass other horror films like The Forever Purge, but I'm not sure if it's going to get to The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It's domestic total. It seems like kind of a reach right now, especially since we've got another horror film coming out later this weekend, which we'll talk about later. that might steer away this film's audiences towards that, so we'll see how it will face off the competition then. But even with all that said, this film is a glorified cess. The movie costed $18 million to make and has more than double that budget, both domestically and worldwide. So this movie's pretty much in the clear. It's more than profitable. It's going to keep being profitable as the weeks go by. So once again, I have to congratulate M. Night Shyamalan and everyone who made the film. It's a success and generally one of the bigger surprises of the summer movie season, especially since we haven't really been getting a whole lot of them right now. But yeah, once again, good on you. Number 2 is Jungle Cruise, which made $15 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $65 million and a worldwide gross of $92 million. So, if you were to tell me that the Jungle Cruise movie would have a better second week drop off than F9, Black Widow, and Space Jam, I would have called you crazy. But no, the film actually managed to have a 55% second week drop off. That is insane, especially right now when all these blockbusters are facing near 60% drop offs, and it seems like the only movies that can sufficiently do better than that are family films. But this movie managed to do that, which is insane. And add on to the fact that not only is this movie about to surpass Space Jam domestically, which completely caught me by surprise, but this now puts it just around 20 million behind Cruella's domestic total. And if it manages to keep doing better than expected and plays its cards right, I think it might have a chance at surpassing Cruella domestically. 100 million, it's a little early to say if it could get there, but I like to remain hopeful, so I think it could get close to that range. And also, yes, it's probably going to struggle getting anywhere near its initial $200 million budget. But when you consider the fact that this movie not only has been exceeding expectations, but is also doing as well as it has been and doing better than other films that should have honestly done better than this movie is doing 3 weeks ago, you can't help but congratulate, or you can see it any way you want. This is just how I see it. Maybe you perceive it another way, but from the way I look at it, this is a surprise, a genuine box office surprise. I'm very happy with how this movie is doing. I hope it continues this sort of success it's doing because I really like the movie if you did not see my review, and I hope once again I hope it continues to do as well as it's doing right now. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, and that was The Suicide Squad, which made $26 million on its opening weekend domestically and is sitting at $71 million worldwide. So the film underperformed at the box office. It failed to meet even the lowest of expectations. The lowest I heard was $28 million, and it didn't even manage to do that, which is unfortunate because if you hadn't seen my review, this is one of the best movies I've seen all year, and I am not alone on this. The reviews have been stellar, and Warner Brothers did market the movie. They did advertise it frequently. So how did this happen? Well, there are a lot of factors to this, and like I am giving the definitive answer due to there be a whole lot of reasons. But the 2 big ones I see are that, well, for starters, we are still in a pandemic, and unfortunately there have been surges across the country. We were getting back on track, but now things are becoming bad again, unfortunately. So I know it's been a while since I've said this on the show, and it definitely feels like it's been a while. But please get vaccinated, wear your mask, socially distance, avoid large crowds if you can, and also wash your hands. Definitely do that. That's a big thing as well. But that's a big factor, and we are still in a pandemic, and that might have steered people away from seeing this movie at the theater. And the second factor being HBO Max. This is a Warner Brothers film, and every movie this year they're doing the day and date thing, and it was apparently very popular on HBO Max. It was the second most watched film in 3 days on the streaming service, behind the Mortal Kombat movie of all things, which was a weird little tidbit, and it that may have had a factor to do with it. Maybe the people who didn't want to see it at the theater also saw it on HBO Max. But the big kicker for why everyone is disappointed by these numbers is the budget. This movie costs a reported $185 million. That is insane, and when you look at the numbers right now, that's not the best numbers you want to see. However, the movie actually managed to achieve some accomplishments this weekend. First off, it had the biggest opening for any R rated movie since The Invisible Man from February of last year, which is incredible. And the fact that an R rated movie post pandemic has already made 71 million worldwide. That's insane. And I think it's a safe bet that it'll get to 100 million worldwide for sure, and hopefully that this opening weekend will encourage others to go see this film. Strange things have happened before on the show. I hope this movie does not keep doing as poorly as it did this weekend. So yeah, we're off to a rocky start with this movie, but I want to hope the best for this film. I hope word of mouth is strong and helps it become at least one of the better surprises of the year. It's probably not going to come anywhere close to doubling its budget, but if it can manage to surpass expectations right now for how it's doing right now and how it's expected to perform throughout its theatrical release, then I will be at least happy. So hopefully this movie manages to do that. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters this weekend. And this week we have 3 new major wide releases. First off, they're all being released in theaters only. You can only see these 3 specific movies at the theater. There is no streaming alternative or day and date thing. So how well these movies do this weekend is just how well they do. There is no side thing, there is no streaming alternative. It really depends on how well these movies do at the theaters financially. And the first movie is Don't Breathe 2. This is the sequel to the surprise box office smash that was the first film, made 157 million worldwide on a $9 million budget. It just completely took the world by storm, caught everyone off by surprise. It was amazing how well that movie did, so much so that we got a sequel. And while I don't think it's going to do as well as that first film, I can see this movie doing pretty alright, fine, probably in the middle range between Old and The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, where it's going to, well, it's not gonna exceed or outdo the predecessor, of course, but compared to other films releasing now, it's going to do just fine. And considering that this is a sequel to Don't Breathe, I can't imagine that the movie is all that expensive. And given how much Sony has been promoting and marketing this film and all the buzz around this movie, I know several people who are really excited to see this movie. I think that while it's not going to break out or blow the doors off like the last one, I think it has a chance to be a decent opening weekend for sure. And then there's Respect, the Aretha Franklin biopic starring Jennifer Hudson. Now, this movie has a long way of coming. This movie was originally supposed to be, I believe, one of the first movies to release back when theaters were once again starting to reopen and bring people back. And I think it was originally supposed to come out in September, but then, of course, it got pushed back again and again, and now the movie's finally out. Reviews have been good, not stellar, but they've been good, and the studio has been advertising and frequently promoting the movie. And these musical biopics as of recently, have been doing very well, which surprised me. As much as we all don't want to admit it, Bohemian Rhapsody was a global smash hit. That was one of the biggest hits of that year, and while it didn't make nearly as much, Rocket Man was also a big hit. It didn't make 100 million domestically, but it was still a financial box office success of that year. But the thing that's concerning me is the buzz. I'm not seeing a whole lot of people talking about it, this movie, or saying they're really excited about it, which could be a detriment, but we'll see how well this movie does. It could do better than I expected. And then lastly, there is Free Guy. This is another film that was supposed to open earlier in this post pandemic world we are living. It was supposed to come out back in December, and of course, Disney was restructuring, so they kept pushing it back. But I believe this is probably the only movie where they kept updating the release date and would like announce it by making a little vignette or short video and release it online telling people the new release date, which I thought was very clever, as well as a lot of the marketing. They've been very heavily pushing this movie. There has been a lot of great promos for it, like the Deadpool Korg trailer reaction video, the Dude promo, lots of good stuff, and reviews have been great, like surprisingly great. I'm excited for the movie, but I did not expect to hear as much good things as I have been. People have been calling this the funniest movie of the summer and the biggest surprise of the year, and there has been a lot of buzz around this movie. So hopefully this movie does deliver the goods. I hope that it does, because I'm excited for this movie and I would hate for it to crash and burn. So we will see how well this movie does, as well as the rest of the new films and the many others that are already out on the next episode of Box Office Chat. And so that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you guys think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, guys, stay sharp.